Well, we are just 2 days away from the CNN presidential debate. And of course, you can watch the simulcast right here on Fox News. Democrats appear to be getting a bit nervous about President Biden's re-election bid. You'll remember a couple of months ago, Biden's campaign had confidence they could win Florida. Now the Biden campaign is ruling Florida out.
Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, clearly battleground states, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia. We have a discussion about whether you want to include North Carolina. You would agree all those 6 are battleground states, the ones that I mentioned. North Carolina's a battleground state?
Yes.
Florida?
No.
Thank you. I was afraid you were going to lie.
Whoa. Okay. I mean, give that man a snack. He's cranky. Even the liberal media are raising concerns about who is advising Joe Biden.
There is a profile in the New York Times today of the 3 closest advisors, longest-serving advisors, informal and formal advisors to the president, and they're all white men in their 60s or higher. You know, former Senator Ted Kaufman, 85 years old. So is that too insular?
Well, Vice President Kamala Harris was asking flat out, why is the race so close?
If the contrast is so obvious, what's going on? Why does it poll so closely? Why is the race so close?
These races are always close. It's the election of the President of the United States. And everyone in an election for President of the United States will critically examine all of the issues and make a decision. But at the end of the day, we're going to win.
Are we? Okay. So now, former President Obama and Hillary Clinton are coming to the rescue. According to the New York Magazine, Obama has become, quote unquote, increasingly involved with the Biden campaign. Now, would that be increasingly like helping him off the stage? Come on, let me grab you by your wrist. That kind of increasing? Or is there something else? Reportedly, there is worry that Donald Trump may very well win. Well, the vice president may not agree with that, but others do. Hillary Clinton used an op-ed today to publicly swoon over President Biden ahead of the CNN presidential debate. Kayleigh, I guess we can be thankful that, you know, at least they are debating because it has to happen. But what is this? This isn't like expectation setting. What is this?
Yeah, look, I think what you're seeing is a Democratic Party panic. And they're expressing confidence publicly because you had Jen O'Malley-Dillon wisely and honestly say, look, Florida's not in play, which is a huge deal. But she went on to say in that interview with John Heilman, the first thing I'll say is that Joe Biden is going to win, period. Okay, how can you be that confident when none of the polling shows that? There's this external expression of confidence and this back of the scene, backstage freak out by everyone involved. And I have to wonder if this debate, and now I'm getting conspiratorial, is it the first kickoff to the general election as they're framing it, or is this the final hurdle Joe Biden has to jump over to be the nominee? Who knows?
I don't think that's a conspiracy. I think that's a question about how they really view it. I mean, listen to Van Jones. If he doesn't do this, the whole thing is over.
Quiet part out loud. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do this real quickly, and then we'll open it back up to the couch. The Real Clear Politics average, you mentioned the numbers, so let's take a look. Trump and Biden are very, very close together. They're 1 percentage point apart. Now, this is not an up or down or margin of error type of situation because Real Clear Politics has a high number of polls that they look at, and this is the average of all of those national polls. So you would want more than a 1-point spread. It is still close. But how is it with the man that Joe Biden says has all these convictions or I should say felonies against him and a conviction, so on and so forth? How is it that the current president, the incumbent, a man who's been in politics for 50 years, is technically almost tied?
Well, Joe Biden's running against the American people and the issues they face. Donald Trump is the target he'd like you to focus on. Think about what just came out. Snopes now had to admit what we've all known and we're called conspiracy theorists for, that the Charlottesville verifying people that Trump praised both neo-Nazis and white supremacists was an absolute lie. The video was there. The audio was there. Many reporters were in the room when Trump gave that press conference. Joe Biden's running against inflation. He's running against border security. He's running against 12-year-olds being raped and murdered by illegal aliens, 13-year-olds, mothers. This is what he's running against. He's running against what the American people deal with food and fuel prices on a daily basis.
Yeah. I mean, when you put it like that, I can see why they're panicking. Emily?
It's such a great point. And interesting that you say I can see why they're panicking when some apparently close advisors in the inner circle say, we don't know if they are. The argument, to go back to Andrea Mitchell's question, she says essentially, okay, so Biden's 3 closest advisors are 3 older white men. The question, according to insiders, is it seems as if they say, do they even get it? The question has been raised and said in the New York Times. So he has a very close, diverse, multi-generational group of advisors. However, he keeps leaning on the same 3 people. So cut through that, and that means that they haven't gone outside. They keep being insular.
The ages are the following. Ron Klain is 62, Mike Donilon is 65. What about the president, right? I mean, the president's the old guy in that group, right? Look, I want to say just one thing about this, and that's this. The president needs to talk about inflation and the economy in the debate. I want to hear what he has to say. I want to hear all about why he can't get inflation down, and I don't want to hear that it was 9% when he took office, because it was not. It was less than 2%.
It was 1.4.
Yeah.
A president will be talking about that. It just won't be the
That's
current
right.
one. So we'll see.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.